Oh, ho, ho, flock. You know what? Sometimes you got to just tip your hobo hat and just say, you know what? You beat us. You beat us. We gave it our all. We still lost. We're 2-3, but there is a lot to talk about in this game. There's a lot to break it down. So join us for this week's edition of 3 and 3 Out, and let's get into them nooks, let's get into them crannies, and let's see what we got here. All right, go Hawks. And as you might not know, I hope you do know, you should know by now, do better if you don't. But if you don't know, 3 and 3 Out is written and distributed exclusively for the Seahawks podcast, right? So remember, getintheflock.com. If you are not listening to this podcast, you need to do better. All right, Flock. So you know that when we win, we get to start with an in. So it kind of always thinks that when we lose, well, it doesn't rhyme. It's not pretty. We just got to start with an out. So let's get into that first out. Late third quarter. Felt that Russ had a pretty darn good game. Our vertical game, which was so lacking in the game previous versus the Cardinals, was blossoming. We were doing everything we wanted to do, moving the ball, moving the chains, getting third downs. There was one play where Daniels, our newer tight end that we traded for from UW and then called up off the practice squad, he had a tight end seam. He was so wide open. And Russ just puts a little too much air under this ball. It floats behind him, and it's kind of a big miss. Go back and check that play out if you have a chance. It was just so there. It was so right there. He had gotten in between the linebacker and the safety, and in previous situations, we've seen Russ just put some pepper on that ball and zip it in there and just hit the dude in stride. So I know it might be a small little thing, but that play just irked me. That play really shook me because we had that there. I just feel like that miscue was kind of the start to our momentum being halted, which bled into the fourth quarter. And the fourth quarter was just kind of a mucky muck for us. So there were just some moments where I was like, man, we had it right there. And if we execute that one play, I bet we win the game. So that one kind of irked me. That gets the first out. But hey, this is 3 and 3 Out, and them's the facts of life, right? Let's get to an in. There's a lot of good to talk about. Let's get there. All right, so this first in, it is so important, has me so fired up. It is not about one individual player. It is about the entire offensive line. So when I look down that line and go, I was thinking, should I give it to Britt? I saw Britt making some great second level plays. Sweezy's been fantastic. Fluker destroying people all game. And Ifedi, solid game over there. Barely noticed him. Brown is Brown, so we don't got to worry about him. But as a unit, this unit is performing as a top 10 offensive line. Soak that in, marinate in that. The delta is undeniable and self-evident. What it means for our team going forward is that we're able to set the tone. For 3+ years, it's been on Russ's shoulders in the middle of his prime, and it's been so frustrating. Now, with some quality backs back there and a very competent line and a great scheme, we are blowing people off the line, up the gut, between the tackles, blowing Sue and Donald off the line consistently. Carson and Davis, they don't need a lot of daylight. They just need a sliver, and those dudes are hitting the holes and getting downfield fast. So I look at the unit, and I can't give the in to any specific player, but I sure can give the in to Mike Solari. It has changed this team. We have our identity back. Stella has got her groove back. Stella is making breakfast and eating breakfast on that beach every single Sunday, sometimes on Thursday, and every now and again on a Monday. We are cooking breakfast. That offensive line is humming. I cannot wait to see what they do against the Raiders in London. This in is for Mike Solari. What he has done for this offensive line and what that line means to this team is incalculable. I'm not sure that's a word, but it is what it is. The in, Solari, awesome job. Let's see what happens in London. Go in there, set the tone, and just run the ball down their throats. Do it over and over and over and over and over till the clock strikes 0, and we get out of London with a big W next to Big Ben, not Roethlisberger, the huge clock tout. All right, this one came late in the game. Now listen, we had the promise of a 5th-round punter who has shown some amazing skills in the preseason and certainly at times in the regular season so far. Dude's got a big leg. Dude has some special skills. He's doing drop kicks and everything else. And hey, he's been a good punter so far. But when we needed execution late in the game, we get down to the 32-yard line. We have that whole series of unfortunate events with the false start that was, to me, really a delay of game. the holding penalty, the incomplete passes, and then we got a punt just around the 50-yard line. We needed Dixon to do what the promise of Dixon is, which would be to pin the Rams down to around the 5-yard line, 4-yard line, 6-yard line. I'd settle for the 7th or the 8th. It had to be within the 10. He doesn't get a good punt off. The ball bounces around, and the Rams get the ball at the 21-yard line. We needed to pin them back around their 5-yard line. And the reason being is we just had to kind of choke out their options. Okay, in this giant plethora, it's a sweater, right? In this giant plethora of things the Rams can run, we really needed to narrow the aperture. That loss of, say, 10 or 15 or 17 yards, depending on how good that punt could have been, I think it was a big deal. To me, that was kind of a big fail. Our special teams did not have a great day. That was emblematic of it. Dixon gets the out. Man, like, just think in your head, instead of the 21, what if they're at the 4-yard line? What if they're at the 2-yard line? What if we execute that the way we needed to execute that? And the 12s are going bananas as the Rams get back on the field. Would the outcome be different? In my heart of hearts, I think it would have been. So the out goes to Dixon. All right, man's a good punter, but we need to execute when it's on the line. And in this game, we just didn't do it. Okay, Flock, credit where due to Schneider and company. They do have this innate ability, it seems, to pick up these high draft picks that have not worked out in other cities and for other franchises and bring them in and get tremendous value out of them. That's what we call foreshadowing in the business, right? And because this in goes for M-I-N-G-O. You can't spell Mingo without in and go and min and ming. Wow, there's a lot of cool words like go, ingo, indigo. You probably can't spell indigo, but if you get another letter in there, you could buy a vowel and maybe spell indigo. Either way, Mingo played one heck of a game. But sideline to sideline, this dude is on it. Mingo deserves this in. Now, typically, for the last few years, it's been the Bobby and KJ show. And then it's kind of like, well, this is the first time since Irvin left that I think we have a real answer at this position. Hat tip to Schneider. To be able to pull him off, it was a bit of the scrap heap of a bust and get Mingo to contribute and contribute consistently and at a high level. The dude's playing great. What can you say? So the in goes to M-I-N-G-O. All right, on to the next. All right, so for those that listened to the quick recap show, I was able to join Brandon this week for the Seahawkers podcast. Adam was out traveling due to work, so I was happy to step in. We discussed this play. This play still persists for me, and it is the biggest, the single play of the game to the negative that I just thought we didn't execute on, and to me, it's actually what cost us the game. So this out goes to Shaq Griffin. Now, we all like Shaq. Shaq had a great rookie year. He's having a good second-year campaign. That 4th and 2 or 4th and 3 deep in our zone, late in the game. Rams come out and go for it on 4th down. They run a really Seahawky type little out. The ball is hung up. It's not a good ball by Goff. It's not accurate. Griff has an opportunity. Shaq has an opportunity just to play the ball. I mean, I think we all understand that a big hit always jazzes up a DB, the chance to get a big hit. But situationally, it didn't call for a big hit. The ball was there up in the air too long. He just had to go make a play on it and get his hands up, and I think he could have batted it down. When that ball was released, I thought for sure Shaq was going to either knock it down or have a chance at a pick six. And to see him go for the body and hit him early, and by the way, that was a PI. I saw plenty of people on Twitter and some of the flock complaining about that call. I mean, that's the definition of PI. It was close, don't get me wrong, but he got there early, and the Rams receiver had no shot at it because of the contact. That is exactly what PI is. To me, it really changed the game to the negative. And unfortunately, Shaq, I got to give you the out there. We won on the offensive line. We won the turnover battle. And this next in goes to the defensive line for what they did against Todd Gurley. I understand Gurley went and got 3 touchdowns. I get that. I totally understand that. But the run D was really, really stout. And it wasn't just the defensive line. Defensive line did their job. Defensive line held up their gaps. Linebacker play was good. Safety play around the line was really good. T2, McDougald coming up, making big hits all day long. As a unit, just a quick overall in for the run defense. The bottom line is we had Todd Gurley in check for the majority of this game. We played well enough to win this game. And that's why it's so frustrating. But the in goes to the run D. Not only did we set the tone on the offensive side of the line, but we also set the tone on the defensive side of the line. If we can continue to win in the trenches, which I believe we can, this team has a legit shot to still make the playoffs. And like every week, my favorite section is From the Flock because it is for us, by us. And again, if you are not in the flock and listening to the Seahawks podcast on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, on a bi-weekly basis, on a fortnightly basis, all your base belong to us. If you're not listening, you got to do better. Go to getintheflock.com. Check out all the ways you can get engaged with this show. With that, let's get to some keen observations from the flock. Like to finish this episode by wishing all the Seahawks fans and all the little flockers that are going across the pond, or perhaps you already live across the pond, and then it's kind of just like, taking a train or something like that, or going through a channel. I'm not exactly sure how you do it over there in Europe and the UK. However you get there, all the Seahawks fans, all the flockers, be safe, travel well, have an awesome time, drink, eat, be merry, go meet each other, go embrace, go have fun, go live it up, go love it up in London. Let's go get a W and beat down the Raiders. And last but not least, go Hawks.